My name is Avi Loeb. I'm a professor of science at Harvard University, the director of the Institute of Theory and Computation there, and the head of the Galileo project. About a month ago, the director of national intelligence delivered a report to the US Congress. Most of it was classified, but we also know that there were more than 260 reports on unidentified objects, out of which about half were associated with balloons and a small fraction with drones, but the rest were unidentified, and we don't know what they are. And obviously the government would like to figure out whether these objects pose a national security threat. And as a result, the government pays more attention to objects in the sky, and we've seen the recent events as a result of that. From a scientific point of view, it's sufficient to have one object that came from an extraterrestrial technological civilization for that to change the future of humanity. And therefore, we would like to know what all the objects are. They are likely to be a mixed bag of drones and balloons and other human-made objects. The four that were identified were obviously human-made because they did not have a propulsion system that allows them to maneuver. They were just floating in air. The renewed interest from government in what is up in the sky is a blessing because, first of all, it removes objects that are human-made from scientific projects that would like to figure out the nature of the rest of them. And obviously the government is mostly concerned with the safety of its citizens and with national security, and therefore human-made objects is at the focus of its efforts. But scientifically, anything that is human-made is of little interest. For example, to the Galileo project that I established a year and a half ago, we currently have an observatory that is monitoring the entire sky in the infrared, in the optical, in the radio, and in audio. And we already collect data 24/7 from one location and start analyzing it using an artificial intelligence computer system. And what we would like to do in the coming months is make more copies of this first observatory that we have and place them at various geographical locations, because the sky is not classified. It's only the sensors that the government is using that are classified, and as a result, the government does not release most of the information that it has, the highest quality data. And as far as we are concerned, if we see human-made objects, we will be happy to transfer the data to government because it's of little interest to us. The question is whether there is anything else that is technological that is not from this earth. And frankly, the government would not be particularly interested in that, because anything that came from interstellar space does not adhere to national borders, and any knowledge about it should be shared by all humans. And that's why it should be the focus of scientists like those involved in the Galileo project. The government's efforts and the efforts of the Galileo project or scientists in figuring out the nature of these unidentified aerial phenomena are complementary, because scientists are not particularly interested in human-made objects, whereas the government is just focused on those. And therefore, we can work together. The worst thing that can happen is if everyone ignores what flies in our sky, because then we will not collect any data as a result. So altogether, the enhanced attention of government to objects in the sky as a result of the establishment of a new office, AARO, that is assembling data from all sections of governments and trying to figure out what's known about the UAP, that's a blessing, and it removes the stigma from a subject that in the past was not discussed. And the best thing that can happen is that more eyes are on the sky, better data is collected, and then we figure out whether we see balloons or extraterrestrial devices. And of course, if we just see human-made objects, so be it. Then we move on. But I think the public needs to know what is out there. The Galileo Project Observatory started collecting data as of a month ago, and it's still in the testing phase. The data is being analyzed by artificial intelligence algorithms, but we are not at a point where we can say something about the nature of unidentified aerial phenomena. Also, it is currently taken from one location, and so this data is quite partial. What we would like is to have tens, if not hundreds, of copies of the first observatory that we currently have, so that we get a fair sample of the sky in many locations. And if we do accomplish this task, then within a year, we should be able to say something, because our instruments are well calibrated. We know exactly how to interpret the data from them. And the data that we will obtain will be made open to the public. The analysis will be transparent, and we will bring clarity to this subject. The government is keeping much of the best data that they assembled classified, because their sensors are classified that they don't want adversaries to be aware of the quality of the sensors that the US possesses. In 2014, the first meteor from interstellar space was spotted by the US government, and we were first, with my student Amir Siraj, to interpret this meteor as coming from interstellar space outside the solar system. The government confirmed our conclusion at the 99.999% in March 2022. And as a result, we are planning to go to the location of where the fragments of the meteor might lie, at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, about 100 kilometers off Papua New Guinea. And we already got funded, full funding for the expedition. We have an exceptional team of members for this expedition. And we also localized the impact site to within a kilometer squared. And that is thanks to data that was publicly available from a seismometer on Manus Island in Papua New Guinea. And we are building the machinery to scoop the ocean floor. It's about a mile deep. And if the fragments are magnetic, we will use magnets that collect them and separate them from the muck that is there. If they're not magnetic, we have a plan B for collecting those fragments. And we will go for about 10 days, hopefully in the first half of May. And so we are making plans to go there right now.